severe Parkinson's disease. You can see how bad his tremors are. But he had a deep brain stimulator.
If you haven't already watched that video, go ahead and watch it. It's pretty fascinating. It's a man with Parkinson's disease and tremor who gets a DBS put in, and his tremor is greatly improved. Now, using a DBS for Parkinson's is not new. We've been putting them in since 2002 when they were FDA approved, and a lot of folks have had improvement in their Parkinson's symptoms, specifically the rigidity and the tremor with DBS. I'm here to discuss the pathophysiology of why this works. Now, I should also add that DBS is used for depression. It is used also for epilepsy, partially related to the dopaminergic inputs that we'll discuss in this video. But the pathophysiology of the treatment of both of those conditions is a little different than what we're going to talk about in terms of Parkinson's disease. So, first, we have to review the midbrain structures. I only have 3 minutes, and if anyone's watching this who's been to med school, they are familiar with. I'm going to go ahead and simplify this due to time, but what we're dealing with here is the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia contains the caudate, the putamen, and also the globus pallidus. It also consists of the subthalamic nuclei, the nucleus accumbens, and what we call the ventral striata. The important players are in red. Now in blue, you have the thalamus, which is important, and also where the DBS sits. For Parkinson's specifically, the DBS can also sit in the subthalamic nucleus. Basically, what you need to know is there's the direct pathway, which is sitting up, sorry, the picture cut off, and the indirect pathway, which is sitting below. The goal of the basal ganglia is to keep you moving. It is like the brake and the accelerator pad in a car. The basal ganglia keeps you moving using dopamine and glutamine. It inhibits you from moving using GABA. The direct pathway, which is up above, is going to help you move. The indirect pathway inhibits. As you can see, the direct pathway, which I said helps you move, has a lot to do with dopamine. Again, I'm simplifying this. If you've been to med school, you know that memorizing these pathways in and of themselves take a couple of weeks. So essentially, in modulating dopamine, you can control how much your body moves and how much it does not move. Dopamine is also a reward producing pathway, so there can be a lot of dependence on things that increase your dopamine, but they can also increase the way you move. For instance, Parkinson's disease is loss of dopaminergic neurons. Because of that, your moving is inhibited per above, and you have more of the indirect pathway, which is inhibition. That's why you have minimal control of your movements. You have extraneous movements like the tremor, and you have rigidity. Levodopa, which is a medication used in Parkinson's, can help replete it, but putting a DBS in the thalamus can help modulate the inputs to your cortex, both in the direct and indirect pathway. And that is how DBS helps Parkinson's tremor and rigidity.